All right, hello everybody. Hello, hello. How's it going tonight? I made the rookie mistake of taking a bite of brownie right before I hit go live. Right before I took my mic off mute. I mean, not the smartest idea I've ever had, but it's fine. Okay, so we are doing some more Mechs tonight, some more Battletech. Yeah. The alternating Thursdays we do an RPG, a Fate system Battletech RPG, but on these Thursdays, I paint. So that's what we're doing tonight. I actually came a little bit prepared tonight. So rather than starting completely from scratch, I'm going to be painting some stuff that I've already done the base layer for. So these three guys right here. You know what, let me hit the... Let me bring that light down so you can actually see some stuff. So we've got 3 mechs that we're going to be working on today. We're doing the Atlas classic 100-ton assault mech. He's big, he's bad, he's beefy. So that's one of the ones we're going to be doing. We've got the Night Star, a 95-ton assault mech, 2 really big Gauss rifles, 1 on each arm. One of my favorite mechs in MechWarrior 5, just because it's so much fun to just point at a mech and you know, get that sweet headshot off, and just kill him in one shot. It's otherwise a pristine mech because, you know, you just 2 Gauss rifle rounds right through the cockpit and they're done. So yeah, the Night Star is going to be one of the other ones we work on tonight, and the Centurion, medium mech, kind of a workhorse, sort of an everyman mech in a way, 50-tonner, medium. Got a big autocannon, a couple, 1 or 2 lasers, depending on which model it is, and I think an LRM-10. So pretty kind of middle of the road, you know, bog standard, nothing too terribly special, but still a good solid mech, especially for a medium mech. They've got a decent amount of armor, they can take a bit of a beating. I actually am not as big a fan of the model for this Centurion. It just looks a little bit skinny, like a little bit scrawny. And so on the Centurion, the left arm is left empty, I guess. Basically, there are no weapons in the left arm on a Centurion. And that arm is supposed to basically be the shield arm. And in MechWarrior 5 and I think MechWarrior Online, the Centurion has a more prominent, like, shield. Like, there's actually like an actual bit of metal that kind of protrudes or extends up and above and below the line of the arm, so that it actually is forming almost like a buckler mounted on the thing's arm. And I really liked that design because I feel like that makes sense. If that's what you're going to use if that's how you're going to design the mech, it should have a slightly larger profile to increase the likelihood that shots hit that shield versus this slim forearm that they've got here. So I'm not as big a fan of this. If I was more confident and more skilled or talented, I would mod this to add a little shield. Like I'd find a mech that I don't really like or something like that. I'd, you know, cut off one of the panels or whatever so that it looks approximately like it's armored and everything like that. I'm not going to do that because I would probably just ruin it, both mechs, but it's an idea for the future. If I decide I want to get into modding things, it'll be a relatively small modification that, yeah, that I think I would like a lot. If I were to do that, what I could do in theory is take a catapult, which is one of these guys here. They've got these missile bay doors that are open. I could theoretically like cut those off and basically put 2 of those on there. They're a little bit too square for me for that idea. That's a little bit mundane, but theoretically I could do that. I'm trying to think of some other options. Like, if I wanted to get fancy, I could like take these like shoulder pads on the Awesome. I could remove those and put the two of those together so that it gives it sort almost like a diamond shape, or kind of like an elongated hexagonal shape. So that could be really cool. I don't know. That is me speculating something that may or may not happen down the line. So, needless to say, Atlas, Nightstar, Centurion. That's what we're going to be working with today. I've got my fancy new magnifying light, so I apologize if that gets in the way or like overexposes my face or anything like that. Please feel free to let me know if that is the case. But I'm still trying to figure out how it's going to work, both for me painting and for me doing the streaming thing. So, but in general, it's really cool. I'm very happy with it. Thank you to my lovely wife for buying it for me as a surprise. So yeah, as you can see, I've already got the base color down for these 3 mechs. Now, the reason that I'm doing 3 mechs at once here is because I'm trying to finish off... There we go. I'm trying to finish off basically it's not technically a company in MechWarrior or in Battletech. A company is 3 lances, and a lance is 4 mechs, so it would be 12 mechs in a company. But for now, I'm doing 8 mechs per company, so basically 2 lances. And I've got this group of cool cats that I painted previously, and those guys are all basically members of the same unit or the same company. They've got the same color scheme, as you can see. They've got that kind of like dark green, brown, and kind of a dark gray. So all these guys have that same kind of thing going. Plus they've got the orange panel in the back. I can't forget that. So that is basically what we're doing here. Is I'm going to be... I started with a slightly lighter brown because I'm hoping that it doesn't turn out quite as dark as these guys. But basically, these guys are part of the same unit. So there's 3 of them to add on to these 5, so that makes the 8. So if you're wondering why I'm doing like 3 randomly, that's the explanation. But yeah, that is that. I'm going to hang on to this guy over here just to serve as a little bit of like reminder or visual inspiration, basically, so I can just kind of keep in mind what I'm aiming for. And I probably roll up my sleeves a little. I don't know if I want to go with the Nightstar first or the Atlas first. So the Nightstar is probably going to be a little bit easier to paint because you'll see he's got like these very distinct, like very broad armor panels. And so those will be a lot easier to detail. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe that's how I'll get kicked off tonight. Is I'll start with the Nightstar, and then I will probably go to the Atlas because he's big and bulky, got lots of stuff to paint. And if I have time, I'll finish up the Centurion tonight. Otherwise, I'll just tackle him sometime tomorrow or the next day. So yeah, that's the plan. We're going to start off with the Nightstar here. We've got a few things that we want to keep in mind for our buddy. So first off, we want to make sure we know what weapons he's got on him. I know the 2 Gauss rifles. I don't know what these guys are. Are those additional weapons? I'm going to have to look this up. Where's my phone? There we go. Oh, you know what? I need to get a playlist rocking and rolling. Or a soundtrack. Where is my...
Hey, so what if we...
Why are my headphones not plugged in? There we go. All right, so we are... Come on. We are listening to YouTube channel Jason Skye, S-K-Y-E, and it is Liberty is the name of this particular playlist. It is inspired by Mech Warriors. By Mech Warrior, it's Liberty for mech, music for Mech Warriors that are on leave or on liberty. Basically, they get the weekend off. So I figured it's a good choice for a chill paint stream. Now, while that's rocking, let's do this. We're going to go to Sarna real quick. Pull up the Night Star. I'm just checking the stock. Just checking the stock weapons here. Okay, so 2 Gauss rifles, 2 medium pulse lasers, 1 extended range PPC, and 1 small laser. So that is telling me, hello Kashra, greetings, how are you? Thanks very much for joining. Okay, so we've got the 2 Gauss rifles. Those are these guys here with the kind of triangular barrels, 1 on each arm. I guess these bits here are just, I don't know if you can see that very well. Hold on. Yeah, this bit's right here. Those are essentially part of the Gauss rifle is what I'm assuming. Then we've got here on both sides, we've got a barrel. Those are the medium pulse lasers. And then along the nose here, on the front of the cockpit, that is going to be a PPC, the extended range PPC. And then there's another small barrel right here underneath the nose on the opposite side, and that's going to be the small laser. So those are the weapons we need to make sure we keep in mind as we go, because those are going to be little details we're going to tack on at the end. Let's see. Catcher, was I able to get the new light set up? I was, actually. Yeah, that's this guy right here. You can see. Ooh, I just blinded myself. I will not subject you to the same. But yeah, that's it. It's pretty awesome, if I'm honest. I love it. It's gonna take me a little bit to get used to using it effectively. I never was very good at like using the microscopes at school, in like science labs and stuff like that. But I'll get there. I'll figure it out. Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you again, my love, for the gift. I really do appreciate it. I will try put it to good use. Right there. Okay. So yeah. So we got the weapons to keep in mind for the Night Star. The other Atlas, go over here. I know you're used to being the center of attention, but right now you're going to be second string. The other thing we have to keep in mind is like how do we want to decorate this guy? I'm actually thinking for the panel up here, I might go like green, gray, brown, so that it's got all 3 of the main colors for the mech right here on the top of the canopy. And then probably do like gray here on these little plates, runs, struts, I don't know what you'd call those, but these little guys right here kind of on both shoulders. I'll probably do those in gray. And then do the arms mostly in green. I'll leave the legs mostly brown. I'll do this bit here, like the shin guard, essentially. I'll do that in green. And then I'll do the joints on both of the knees. I'll do those in the dark gray. That's probably my initial color scheme. And then I'll figure everything else out from there. So yeah, that's the plan. So I've already done the base coat, well, 2 thin base coats technically of the brown. Next thing I'm going to do, and I did a dark wash. That you can kind of see like how the details like popping out on all these lines. That's from that dark wash. It's really thin, so it's settled in there, dried, and it's really kind of making all those details pop. So what I want to do from here is I want to do a little bit of a dry brush with the same brown, just to add a little bit of like depth to the color. And then from there, I'm going to go through and I'm going to start hitting the individual panels and updating the colors on those. So that's a lot of talking to basically say, let's hit it with some brown. Is that paint still good? I don't think so. Let's find out. You guys need to come over here. I'm all out of whack. I don't have my base. Come here. All right, there we go. Boom. Oops, that is. Sorry, it's slightly new setup here that I'm working with, so gotta find where everything goes again. You know how it is. All right, but now that we've kind of talked about what we're doing, how's everybody tonight? How are we? Everybody having a good evening? It's just about 10 o'clock here my time, so it's going to be just about 7 p.m. for those of you on the West Coast. Hopefully you're all having good days. Nothing too stressful, nothing too negative going on. I'm having a pretty good day. I actually made dinner tonight, and it was very tasty. I'm very pleased with the outcome. It was essentially like bulgogi flavored pork sloppy joes from HelloFresh, which is one of those meal delivery things. I'm a big fan. It actually turned out quite tasty, and in general, I've been pretty happy with that particular brand. So, not sponsored or endorsed anyway. It's just me giving my personal opinion. All right, so let's grab some of this brown. We don't want too much in there. We really don't want any to be on the brush, essentially. And we're just going to kind of lightly go over this, just to kind of touch it up a bit. We want to hit some of those raised spots. We're going to do really light brush strokes. Not going to go too deep with them. We're going to be very kind of superficial, very gentle. This is something that it took me several tries to figure out how to do in a satisfactory way. I really wasn't very happy with it the first couple times I tried it. And that's because I mean, if I'm honest, I wasn't quite doing it right. But a little bit of practice, I seem to have figured it out for the most part. I think I'm still not quite right with it because I see some work that other people have done that's just phenomenal. And my work doesn't quite get to that level. Well, it doesn't come anywhere near that level, if I'm honest. But it is better than it was. So, you know, it's all about progress. Getting there slowly but surely. Not rushing. Not rushing. Also not rush in. Not that there's anything wrong with rushing inherently, but... Sorry, it was a terrible joke. Okay. So that's just a tiny bit of dry brushing with that original brown color. I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit it with a slightly lighter brown, which is that going to be too light compared to these guys? Because on these guys, the brown is pretty dark. But then again, part of that was because of the varnish I used. I used a gloss varnish, and I sprayed it on a little heavier than I probably should have. And as a result, all the colors on these guys darkened up way more than I intended. Although you can see them much better on camera. You got the brown shins, the green legs, kind of the brown canopy here with the green running along the side. So that does show up okay on camera. It's just, I guess it depends on what the light as well. Nope, do not drop them into the brown paint. Nope, that's not even on camera. Anyways, all right, so we're gonna put him aside. Let's do it. What the heck, right? They may not be exactly the same color. I'm actually going for something a little bit more akin to my catapult anyways, in color, in general color and effect. So I'm going to go with something a little bit more matte. And so the main difference between the Catapult and my Crusader here, you can see the Crusader. The Crusader is a little bit shinier underneath the light than the Catapult. This one's the Crusader. This one's the Catapult. And that's because I held the spray varnish closer to the Crusader, and I think I applied it a little bit heavier as a result. And I think that heaviness made it A, glossier, and B, I think it made it darker. Like it darkened all the colors up. Whereas when we're looking at our Catapult here, I actually was very light with the varnish, and I held it a little bit further away, so it didn't hit it as thick. And as a result, it's not as glossy, and the colors are actually popping out just a little bit better on this guy than they did on the others from the same lance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the Shadowhawk over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically try to mimic the color scheme on this so that this one and these other three all are going to kind of have the same visual kind of effect on them, as well as the same color scheme, so that they're identifiable as a lance. So I'm going to put the Catapult over there. Now, one of the things I realized that I was doing, or well, that I didn't really think about doing before, was I was not thinning my paints before I dry brushed. I was just going straight paint on the paintbrush, which carried a few issues, like a few problems. There were a couple of issues with that. Mostly that it made the paint a little bit too heavy, like it was a little bit too thick when we applied the dry brushing, and so I think that affected the level of detail on the models, on the minis. So when I was working with my buddy Samson on Tuesday, he told me that I should be thinning the paint a little bit before I dry brush. So that's what I'm going to try here. Skills really be improved. You learn so much so quickly. Oh, thank you. Well, I've been trying. Like, I'm not trying to like get to a specific like point. Like, I'm not trying to, I'm trying to compete in any kind of like contests or anything like that. I'm just trying to enjoy it. So it's helped. I'm one of those people who like I get really stressed out if I am trying to do something for like a specific goal outside of just doing it. And I feel like, oh well, if I'm not doing a perfect job, then why am I doing it at all? Which is not a healthy way to do it. So that is too heavy on the paint. It was a little bit too heavy with the dry brush there. I was not pleased with the effect. So I just really quickly kind of decided to pull back a little bit, and I basically just used another brush that was wet but didn't have any paint in it to basically wick away all that paint that I didn't want, so that it didn't dry and settle there, and because that wouldn't have looked very good. So Kashra, how's your day going? Anything interesting going on? Anything you want to get off your chest? chilling with some cats. Hey, that's a pretty good way to be, if I'm honest. Those cats, man, they'll keep you locked down, won't they? Crazy cats climbing walls, vaulting off things. The usual. Yeah, exactly. I got some decently good news today regarding my student loans, so can't argue with that. Pretty happy. Long story short, I probably won't have to be paying as much on them as I thought I would, so that's nice. All right, I think that's good for. I think that's good for the brown dry brushing at the moment. I might hit it with a little bit more later on, but let's start applying some color. Let's see. Now this might be where I want to start using my little magnifying buddy here. Yeah, thank you. Where's that brush that I just... Yeah, that's the one. So I'm just kind of doing a couple practice strokes here because I don't... Okay. Yeah, I think I can make that work. So I think we're going to do green. We're going to do gray, we're going to do green again, we're going to do gray, we're going to leave this brown, I think is the plan. So, I've got to go in with the, green here, so that's the deepest point. So I think I'm going to start with the green. Bear with me while I converse with myself through every step of this process. Gonna be gray. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start with the gray. I take that back, and then I'll do gray first. Okay. All right. Let's do gray first. You can go up there for the moment. Sorry for blinding everybody. Like I said, still getting used to that. I don't have a gray as dark as I used here on the catapult, so I'm gonna have to mix it. So. The way we get gray, black and white. So I want to just be a little bit white, or a little bit of the white. I'm not going to use a ton of it because I don't want it to be too light. Whoop, that was more black paint than I intended, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Luckily I bought this stuff in bulk and it's the cheap stuff, so. And then, boop, I think, just a little boop more. There we go. And let's mixy, swirl it up. Ba, 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 ba. I really do like this YouTube channel for music. It's very thematic. It's got some good, like, faster stuff for kind of like action-y scenes and whatnot, and drama. It's got some good, like, chill stuff like this. I'm a big fan. Let's get some water in there to thin this out. That is a mess. Okay, let's clean this up a bit. I knew it was going to happen, and it finally did the other day. I was painting a mech while on stream Monday night, and I tipped over my little bottle of water that I use to wash my brushes right onto my little mouse pad here. Now, luckily, this is a throwaway mouse pad, like it's just a random one I had lying around. So it wasn't the end of the world, but it was mildly annoying. I had to keep my cool on the stream because I didn't want to suddenly start swearing. Like, with people not having any idea why. So that was a lesson in, you know, camera awareness and self-control. But I must say, I think I did pretty well. I just continued on with the game without anyone the wiser that I had just been really doofus. A real doofus. Oops. I've all done stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. Alright. I think that's probably what we're going for. Or at the very least, it's what we're gonna settle for. I feel like I'm adding too much water to it. All right, so let's get started here. Let's bring our light back down. Sorry for the brief blinding that everybody is probably going to be subjected to. You know what? I think what I need to do is angle it like that, maybe? Is that the best way to do it? So that I've got... So my big thing is I need to make sure I'm not using the end of my brush here to tap into this thing while I'm brushing, because it's gonna mess me up. So pardon me while I try to figure out the best way to do that. See, if I get too far away, then it goes out of focus. So in order to keep it in focus, like really properly in focus, I need to be about there, which is basically brush length, no matter where I put it. So that's... If that's going to be the case, let's at least make ourselves comfortable, right? Okay, so I want this like kind of reverse jet exhaust thing here, and the two little spaces right next to the back end of it. I want those to all be gray. So that's going to be the plan. Let's hit that first. This is definitely one of those situations where, like, you know, you got this cool new tool and it almost sets you back at first because you got to figure out how to incorporate it into your system. And like, you know, you were doing things, you were making things work without it before. Now you're in a situation where you're like, okay, well now I've got it, but the way I was doing it doesn't really jive now. Like there's, for whatever reason, you got to switch it up. So it kind of sets you back a little bit while you kind of get used to it and while you kind of settle into it. Let's bring this back this way a bit more so I can see the paint a little bit better. There we go. And just to be clear, that is not me complaining about the light. The light's amazing. I love it, but you know, there's just a little bit of a learning curve involved. That's all. You know what? This might actually be one of those situations where I don't even need the light. Because I'm not really doing like super fine detail work. Always an adjustment period, and then you're like, how did I manage? Yeah, exactly. See, you know what's up. Yeah, so I feel like this is a situation where I don't even need the light for the moment. I will need it in a bit when I'm doing some of the more like small detail work, but for now, I can be a little bit reckless with this because I'm going to be painting over some of the mistakes that I make with this in green. So I don't need to be super precise with these brush strokes. I can kind of let paint get wherever for the moment. And then once I go into add in the green, where I'll be covering up a lot of this gray stuff, that's where I'll need to be careful. I actually kind of like this stage of the painting because you can kind of just slap paint on stuff and call it good. I say kind of because you can't really, like, still gotta be a little bit careful about stuff, but I think it's really for the detailed stuff, like in the individual missiles. Yeah, exactly. Which is something I'm still not like super proficient with. So yeah, that's going to take some time, I think, to get used to that. Everybody's doing okay tonight. I know Kashra checked in with you, but anybody else who's joined, if you want to let us know how you're doing, please feel free. Always interested to hear from people about how your day is going. My wife could tell you that I have kind of jumped in hard on the Battletech thing. Like, I've always been a Battletech fan, but I didn't get into the minis side of things, like the tabletop side of things, until fairly recently, just in the last few months. Prior to probably February, I didn't own a single Battletech mini. But I'd been involved in Battletech. I'd been playing Battletech for years as video games. There's the tabletop RPG, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the mini side of things is new to me. So I'm trying to learn the Alpha Strike rules right now, because I was able to get the the Commander's Edition manual for that fairly easily. And whew, there's a lot of rules to that bad boy. It's a lot to try to pick up. It's kind of billed as like, you know, the quicker, faster way to play Battletech, which I guess what they're referring to is not, you know, to pick up and start playing necessarily, but it's just, you know, the quickest way to finish like a full match, essentially. So yeah, it's been an interesting experience. I'm actually playtesting the Alpha Strike rules, or the Aces rules that Catalyst Game Labs released recently via their Kickstarter, where you basically get to play solo, and basically like they've created an AI for the enemies and stuff like that, so you can, you know, set up the scenario and, you know, go through and use the randomizer to figure out what the bad guys do and things like that. So I've got a scenario set up in the next room, and I'm looking forward to delving into that a lot more in the next few days. So that's what I've got going on at the moment. Nothing super fancy, but should be fun nonetheless. I think this paint is still too thick. But it's all right. We'll make it work. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a little bit of a risk here. Gotta do some cat herding, all right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn on the audio here so y'all can hear what I'm listening to. I know some of you might have gone to the YouTube channel I mentioned earlier. You might not have, but figure what the heck. Let's give it a try, right? It's possible somebody complains about me using this music, but this is just as a point of giving credit to the creator, because this is not my music. This is a YouTube channel called Jason Sky, S-K-Y-E, and this is his playlist called Liberty, a chill synth soundtrack for mech warriors on leave. This guy actually does, this channel, I should say, actually does some really great kind of sci-fi, cyberpunk, mech warrior inspired synth music for different situations. Like, it's got a couple different playlists on there that are really, really good. So probably my favorite stuff to listen to when I'm doing anything Battletech related. It just feels right. You know, it fits the vibe. So if you're watching, let me know how that's coming through. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet or anything like that. I will be more than happy to adjust as needed. You know what we're going to do? We're going to do this barrel. In gray. And we're going to do whatever the heck this thing is in gray as well. imagine it's something to do with the Gauss rifle. I just don't know what it is exactly. It's not the barrel, I know that much. Or if it is the barrel, I'll be very surprised, I guess. Sitting here talking like I know what a Gauss rifle looks like in real life, but let's say this, it wouldn't make sense for that to be the barrel of the Gauss rifle. If you're hanging out, welcome. Thank you very much for being here. Always happy to chat or chill or whatever people are in the mood for. If you are a Battletech fan, feel free to let me know what your favorite mech is. I always like having that discussion with folks and seeing what strikes a particular individual's fancy. I suppose if I'm going to ask that question, I should probably offer up the information myself. So, I will say, if someone were to ask me point blank, what's your favorite mech? You have to answer instantly. There are no second choices. There's just one mech above all. I'd have to go with the Black Knight. Hey, Stolen Fires, how's it going? Good evening, good evening. Hope you're doing well tonight. And yes, indeed, we are indeed nerds. It's kind of like that thing that Pennywise says in It. But instead of we all float down here, it's we're all nerds down here. So welcome, you're in good company. Indeed doing well. Excellent, I'm really glad to hear that. It's going to sound crazy considering how much I thinned those paints, but I don't think I thinned them enough. I think they're still too thick. From what I can tell, it's just 90 minutes of Nazis dying gruesomely. Just watch it. Sisu. I mean, that's interesting. I have not heard of it, but I'm not opposed to the general concept. We'll figure out what we're going to do with those later. I do know I want to paint the feet gray. Why? I don't know. But the mood struck me, so I'm going to roll with it. He's trying to steal some gold from a miner. Turns out the miner's a former commando. Now he's after the third. So, I mean, basically it's just Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, the Curse of the Black Pearl. But instead of pirates being, you know, fleeing a curse, it's Nazis fleeing some special forces dude. Finnish commando, no less. Nice. Oh, well, that's... I mean, that's a movie premise for sure. Is it a Finnish movie? See, that's where if someone had asked me that question, my response would be, no, they're still in post-production. because I have an atrocious sense of humor. Just truly groan-worthy. Quite atrocious. Not sure everyone is speaking English, but I can't imagine American studio wanting to make this. Huh, interesting. I mean, there was a time in Hollywood where, you know, movies where people were fighting Nazis was all the rage. It was like the only enemy, or the only bad guy that they had in a lot of movies for a while. And, you know, for some movies it makes sense, like if it's set during that time frame and everything like that. Sorry, I'm just getting a little bit quiet while I finish off this barrel here. I realize I probably shouldn't have done the barrels, but that's okay. We're here. We're just going to roll with it. Quite atrocious. At least I recognize it, you know? I'm not under any delusions. I cannot believe that it's April. I don't know what happened. New Year's was just the other day. And now all of a sudden, it's April. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing the same weird time warp thing, but I know I am. So Stolen Fires. Let's talk Dragon Age a little if you're okay with that. Not like plot spoilers or anything like that, but I really like the system, actually, what I've seen of it. Let me grab a drink first. Okay, fair enough. Always good to hydrate. I am butchering this poor Night Star. Oh well. Clean the brush out is getting a little bit difficult to work with. I'm also going to hydrate while we've got drinks on the mind. Like I said, new setup. Not exactly ideal. One of these days I'm going to have to do like a little parade of my all my finished mechs. Probably when I'm closer to being done with all of them. He says, after having just backed a Kickstarter that's going to introduce not just more mechs, but also more vehicles, like tanks and helicopters and stuff like that. Very excited about that. Also had to give Lucifer his killer. Oh yeah, of course. You gotta feed the little guy. That is of paramount importance. Indeed, yep. Yeah, let's talk Dragon Age. I mean, having very little actual experience with it, I like the system. It's actually pretty good. There's more depth to it than I was expecting there to be. I like the idea of the 3d6 system with like the stunt points and stuff like that. That's pretty cool. Obviously, you know, knowing what stunt you're going to use and whatnot is very situation dependent, so that can slow things down a bit, especially for new players. But I think that's, you know, something you just overcome with time, right? Stunt points aren't my favorite part of the mechanics, but they slow stuff down. Yeah, agreed. Like, it's the kind of thing where I feel like it would be strongly encouraged to have every player basically make a list of like the stunts that they're most likely to use, regardless of what chart they're on, like whether they're spell stunts or, you know, combat stunts or role-playing stunts or whatever the other kinds of stunts are, and basically just like, you know, maybe you get so many stunts that you can pick for this chart or this list, and whenever you pick a stunt from that list, it costs one less or something like that, to kind of encourage people to just, but that then, because then that just makes people kind of stick with certain ones, and it's not as dynamic as the system is meant to be. So never mind, ignore that. That's a terrible idea. Some class abilities do give you a discount on a given stunt. Okay, that's cool. And you do eventually get a feel for it. Yeah, that's exactly what I was kind of thinking, is like, after a while you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure I know what stunts I'm going to use in this situation. Like I've looked at the list enough times in, you know, enough sessions that I know what's there. It's not going to change, so I think I'll go ahead and use that one that I always use. Or, you know, oh, this is that one situation where that stunt I keep wanting to use but never get the chance to is going to come in handy. So Warriors can eventually use the extra damage stunts for fewer points. Looking forward to when the party ends up in Orlais and has to get deep into the political RP. Ooh, that'll be fun. I think I told you, but I took the linguistics talent for Raylath, and I took Orlesian just kind of randomly because Ben is partial to Liliana from the first Dragon Age game, so it was like, yeah, I should probably speak my Bay's native language. Oh, really? Okay. Like I like the idea of, you know, there being different languages in the world and things like that, because I feel like that does open up the possibility of like language based puzzles and things like that, that like, oh well, you can't decipher it, so you're gonna have to go and find someone who can translate for you or whatever. But yeah, by and large, I find that in most RP situations, the language barrier thing is kind of lackluster. All right, I think I've dabbled around with the gray, and no, actually I take that back. I gotta hit the feet again. I think I need to thin the paints again. I think it's getting. I think this color is drying out, and so it's painting on a lot thicker than I wanted it to. It's time to add some water. Except it was when horror on the Orient Express, then they just suffered. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's... Like horror games, it's imperative that people not always be able to understand each other or read everything that's going on. You know, you got to keep them in the dark somehow. Let's see. One of my first D&D experiences, we got reversed isekai'd to New York City, but no one except the druid with comprehend languages could do anything. Kind of sucked and has stayed with me. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Like, you don't want to put your players in a situation where nobody's going to have the language, and suddenly not knowing the language becomes this kind of critical bottleneck where only one person can interact efficiently and everything like that. That's not very fun. That's not great. That's not great game running, in my opinion. I'm not trying to diss whoever was running that game, but that's just my take on it. Everyone in the Dragon Age universe speaks English anyway, except the elves trying to preserve their ancestral language. Refund that and take something else if I like. I think I will. I'll take a look and see what other stuff there is. As a mage, there are a few magic-based specialties or talents that are very appealing, so I might have to go take another look at those. But then again, I don't want to be too much of a one-trick pony, so I'll have to figure out. I'll really have to seriously consider it, because I like my characters to be really nuanced as much as possible. Can you hear the music, by the way? Is that coming through? Gonna be kind of embarrassed if the answer is no. You cannot hear any music. That's odd. I wonder why. Let me try something real quick. I just tried turning up the music on the system. Audio. Let me know if that comes through any better, please. Yay, there is music. Okay, cool. Well, I was trying not to like blast people's ears, and so I didn't turn it up very high. I guess I really didn't turn it up very high. So Duly noted. I will keep that in mind for the future. Gonna get some of this green down here. Okay, fantastic. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that it's a good balance between the music and my voice, not that I want to hear my voice. You know what I mean? Hearing your own voice is always weird. At least it is for me. Like in those instances where I've had to watch back a stream or a recording or whatever. Never super thrilled with it. You know what I should be doing is I should be doing the gray on the Atlas as well while I'm here. So I'm not wasting this paint, but that's okay. I'll come back to it in a minute. Cat hair. Even when the cats aren't with me, they're with me. Fuzzy little monsters. This is where I think the fancy magnifying light thing might come in handy. Knew I was going to do that. Tried it anyway. So many things have tiny kitten teeth marks on them. Yeah. That is the risk. Taking in a kitten. Or any cat, really. Oh, that is... Why is that... Oh, right, because I just used that color. Of course it's going to be on that side. Okay, well, note to self, avoid that part of the green, because that's going to end up coming a weird color as it mixes with that brown. I really should clean my palette a little bit more frequently. Oh well. Anybody got any good plans for the weekend? Personally, I'm going to finally go see the D&D movie. Looking forward to that. I've heard pretty good things about it. I think that helped. Try and see the D&D movie. Oh, Jinxie over here. Alright, fair enough. That's true. Kasher is right. It is supposed to be a root beer rather than a Coke, but I guess, everybody's got their preferences, so. I'm not going to try and impose my soft drink choices on other people. Unlike Casher, who is clearly a tyrant. Those Canadians, you know, gotta watch out for them. Not careful, they'll just try to take over everything. Oh yeah, I gotta cook. Have fun cooking. Let us know what you're making, because I'm curious. I say curious, I'm nosy. That's really what it is. I'm nosy. Casher, I'm not sure if you're laughing at the Canadians are tyrants comment or the fact that I'm nosy. Possibly both, I suppose. I guess they're not mutually exclusive. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. See? Looks like we might have a few new folks showing up. Hello, everybody. How are you? Welcome. Thank you for being here. Oh, it's time to switch over to a new music piece. Ooh, let's do this one. Not that one. That's an ad. Broccoli cheddar soup with bacon. Ooh, I love broccoli cheddar soup. All right, this soundtrack is called Canopus. Getting the pseudo 80s vibe from that music. It's like lo-fi sci-fi. That's exactly what it is. It's a great channel on YouTube by the name of Jason Skye, S-K-Y-E, and basically does a bunch of like kind of like chill synth music.
Reactor online, sensors online, weapons systems online, all systems online.
I guess it's not all chill, but largely chill. But a lot of it's kind of like inspired by Mech Warrior or Cyberpunk or similar kind of like sci-fi properties. So it's kind of perfect for this. I definitely suggest popping over to YouTube and giving them a follow. Giving them a follow? I don't know. Kind of assume based on the fact that the first name is Jason, but not always. Not always the right call, so hedge my bets and say them. Totally done and done. Ah, thank you. Very kind, very kind. I do love to point people in the direction of, cool content creators that I find when possible. Not that I'm like some huge trendsetter or anything. I'm not going to send millions of people over to someone's channel, but, if I can send over one or two, end of the day, result. Not too bad. Oh, I'm going to be a little bit little bit overly ambitious here, but I'm going to do it anyways. So, talking some Battletech, I think. I've been playing Mech Warrior 5 a lot. It's kind of my sit down and, you know, go brain dead, veg out game. And I was playing earlier today, played through a mission, and for whatever reason, the AI just like decided that all of my really expensive, rare weapon systems needed to die. So like, it basically was just targeting anything that I had that was tier 4 or tier 5, you know, really difficult to come by, really expensive, like, you know, all that stuff. And just in one mission, just totally eradicated a bunch of my really, really nice gear. And it was kind of frustrating. It's like, you know, I can kind of get the logic there, but it seems intentional at that point, you know? And I guess the game has to keep you, gotta keep you on your toes somehow, so can't be too annoyed about it. But I can be a little bit annoyed about it, just a tiny bit. Actually, speaking of, the Night Star that I have in that playthrough is one of the ones that got obliterated. It's like the enemy mechs just decided, okay, let's take out the Gauss rifles on that thing's arms, and then we'll turn around and we'll go after the other mech and we'll destroy all the expensive stuff on that one. So that's what we're looking at so far. Not the easiest to see right there, but so we got the gray, kind of the gunmetal gray, the green, gunmetal gray. This is gonna stay. This panel is gonna stay brown. There's also this tiny little panel, like right between the gray and the green, that is gonna stay brown as well, because I think it's kind of a cool little accent piece. And then I think I'm gonna go gray down along these little guys along the side of the nose. So that's the plan. The AI cheats. Yeah, exactly. And I guess, like, it's something you should kind of expect and whatnot, but it's still annoying. That being said, it's still a fun game. Okay, let's get down here. Let's get the shins. I think that might be a situation where I watered the paint down too much. It's almost a wash at that point. That's too thin. It's one of those situations where I should be using this fancy new magnifying light that I've got. And I'm just like, instead craning my head around it to try to see what I'm doing. It's gonna take time. I'll get there eventually. That's not going to work. Oh, Stolen Fires, real quick. Sorry to bug you with like a technical question here, but I can't seem to post links in the chat when I want to I want to link to the playlist so I can give proper credit to the person who made it. And for some reason, whenever I try, Twitch just like deletes it. Not quite sure what I need to be doing differently. Because I know you can post links, in theory. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. That's very, very kind.
All stress out of the user experience. Let's
You
have the app ready
never
when
do
I'm back.
ads. What are you talking about? What are you doing?
Look,
Crazy. Never had ads on that before. That's coming out of nowhere. Try now. Okay. Hey, it worked. Thank you very much. That's the music that we're listening to over on YouTube. If anybody wants to pop over and check out the other stuff on offer, or even better, give the channel a follow, or a subscribe, I guess, technically. It's a follow on Twitch, it's a subscribe on YouTube. You can tell I'm really well versed in this stuff. Ha! Ha ha ha. Got to it just in time. Only see asterisks, must tinker more. Oh! That's weird. So I see this on my account, I see the link. But you're right. Looking at it through OBS, it shows just asterisks. Asteri? an asterisk, but in the plural. Me too. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. We'll get it figured out. Part's gotten a little bit repetitive. Oh no! I slipped a little. Luckily, I didn't get any green on anything that wasn't supposed to be green, so it worked out. Gotta be more careful with that. That little bit of the music made me think we were going to yell Mortal Kombat! Man, was that a rough mess. Thank you, Casher. I appreciate you. I appreciate the fact that you had the same thoughts. Let's return to the stove, but I'll tinker with permissions. You should theoretically have URL posting permissions as a mod. Alright, well. We'll get it figured out. No rush. No stress. Yes, definitely return to the stove. The soup takes priority. I could probably do this a lot faster if I was using a slightly whiter bristled brush. I'm using a brush that really should be used for mostly detail stuff. And I did use it for, you know, something earlier that I need to use it for, but I think we're past that point. So let's be smart. Work smart, not heart. I gotta say, one of the things that's worked best for me in kind of improving my skill, and I use that term very loosely, I'm not trying to be like, you know, oh, my skill level, but like, just getting better results, I guess is what I want to say, is just kind of learning like how to anchor my hands, like, you know, just even this right here, like that kind of helps anchor the brush hand by resting it against the thumb of the pedestal hand, and that can really kind of make a huge difference in how precise I'm able to get. So if anybody out there is like trying to learn how to paint minis and you're finding that the fine brush control is difficult, experiment with a few different methods of like how you brace your brush hand. You know, either wrist on the table, or you know, maybe you're on the base of your mini gripper pedestal. I don't know what the heck these things are called, but you know what I mean, this little black thing, or braced against your other hand, like whatever it happens to be. But I find like the worst is when I'm trying to do like something really detailed and I'm like free-handing it, it's kind of floating there and shaking all over. So try not to do that. Some people are going to have, you know, steady enough hands they can do that without a problem, but I am not one of those people. I used to be. I used to do like minor surgical procedures and stuff like that when I was in the Navy. I wasn't like fantastic, but I could do a set of stitches and I could, you know, operate a scalpel reasonably well. Oh, how times have changed. So, this unit of mechs that I'm currently painting up, when it's done, at least as it stands now, it's going to have 8 mechs, so 2 lances. It's not quite a full company, but that's fine. I'm not really going for, like, super accuracy in terms of those things. Because a full company would be a minimum of 3 lances, or 12 mechs. So it's going to be 2 lances, 8 mechs, and it's going to consist of an Atlas, a Night Star. This is kind of in order, like descending order of tonnage. An Atlas, a Night Star, an Awesome, an Archer. Actually, it's the only heavy mech is the Archer. Now that I look at it. Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong group. So it's going to be the Atlas, the Night Star, a Marauder, a Crusader, a Rifleman, a Centurion, and a Shadowhawk. That's what this unit is ultimately going to be made up of, those 8 mechs. And I'm pretty happy with that decision. Like I feel like it's got a little bit of everything it needs. It can accomplish a couple of different kinds of missions. So obviously the Atlas is the main assault. It's going to go in there and face tank everything and lay down some serious damage. Night Star is the sniper. The Marauder is kind of the second line support brawler, I guess. Marauders can be useful in a couple different situations, so it's one of the reasons I like them. The Crusader is definitely going to be kind of filling the brawling capacity. Sorry, one sec. Sorry about that. Throat got a little bit dry there all of a sudden. Yeah, so Crusader kind of fits kind of the brawler role as well. The Rifleman, of course, is, second line direct fire support. Riflemans are great mechs, one of my favorites actually. And then, of course, the Shadowhawk and the Centurion. Shadowhawk kind of serves as skirmisher slash like cavalry role. It's pretty quick. It's got the jump jets, so it can reposition really, and support whoever it needs to support. At least that's what I have in mind. Centurion's a little bit of a kind of tank brawler type in the medium category, so obviously it's a lot smaller than the Atlas, so it's not going to take nearly as much damage, but it's a good mech to kind of fill out whatever other stuff, whatever the other units need. Drink your water. I did. I drank some water. I did. But thank you for the reminder. Not a fan of these really tight little armpits that I have to try to get into to paint. Those are kind of annoying. That's okay. Just a few minutes ago, I was like, oh, don't do the whole thing where you're like just kind of free-handing it. Letting your arm just kind of hang in the exactly what I'm doing here. So, do as I say, not as I do, you know? Because I'm bound to make a mistake doing this, and I'm going to be like, ah, why did I do that? All I had to do was just brace my hand for a second, and would have been fine, but no. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. So I've got 22 mechs that I've finished painting, like just ready to go, ready to set out on the table and look good. I've got 23 mechs that I've finished painting because I forgot about the catapult sitting right in front of me. I've got a box of other minis to paint that is numbering approximately 46, I think, at last count. And then I've got 11 more on the way that I ordered kind of as individual unit, like solo pieces, because I wanted to get specific mechs rather than buy the packs that they come in. So yeah, I guess you could say I have a little bit of a backlog. I guess you could also say I have a little bit of a problem, but that's for another day. That's another conversation for another time. I have, however, resolved not to buy any more until I've finished painting all these at the very least. Not to say I'm definitely going to buy more once these are painted. I'm just saying, like, I can't buy any more at least until they get painted. At a certain point, you gotta have a cutoff, you know. It's easy to get pulled into stuff like this, though, you know? Like, Battletech is one of those properties, at least for me, that has so much stuff in it. It's really difficult for me to decide, like, what my favorite part of it is. Like, obviously, yeah, the giant robots is the primary draw. I wouldn't be here just for, like, you know, galactic space intrigue, or galactic political intrigue. I guess galactic kind of implies space, doesn't it? So, like, I'm not here for galactic political intrigue. Well, correction. That's not what drew me to Battletech in the first place, was the, you know, galactic the galactic political intrigue. That has, obviously, since I got involved in the Battletech universe, become much more prominent in my list of interests, but that's beside the point. At its core, it's big stompy robot go pew pew. But even within that, it's hard to be like, oh, this is my favorite thing. Like, this is the one thing that I really, really like. I have found, in my exploration of the setting, that there are just far too many mechs that are cool. It's damn near impossible to say, like, this one mech is objectively better than others. A lot of people are going to try, but really that's just them, you know, talking about what their favorite mech is and trying to make it seem like their favorite mech is the right one to pick. When in reality, that is not the case. I said earlier in the stream that if I had to pick one mech that was my favorite, it would be the Black Knight. And while that is a very strong contender, the second I said it, I was like, oh, but you know, the Battlemaster. Oh, but also, you know, the Marauder. It's just really hard to pick a favorite. I like so many of them. I must have them all. It's like Pokemon, but big robots. Exactly. They're all good for different scenarios. That's exactly right. They are... It is a rock, paper, scissors game. You're going to get some situations where having a catapult, which is relatively squishy in the grand scheme of things and is really good at throwing lots and lots of missiles, but outside of that can be a little bit fragile and a little bit, you know, a little bit vulnerable, especially if it's by itself. It doesn't have anybody to back it up. But there are going to be some situations where that's going to be exactly what you need. Couldn't pick a favorite before because it depends on my mood, day, time of day. Yeah, exactly. Pardon me. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like when I'm playing MechWarrior 5, I've got a full stable of mechs. Like I can't fit any more into my ship. And I don't have just like a bunch of Atlases, which is what a lot of people would do because, oh, but an Atlas has 100, it's 100 tons, you can fit so many weapons on it, and yada yada. Yeah, but it's also slow, and it's kind of boring when you get right down to it. Like, I want to play something else sometimes, so. If I'm honest, Atlases are nowhere near my top of the list for my favorite mech. Which a lot of people would be like, what? That's crazy. But that's just how I feel about it. Like, if we want to talk assault mechs, let's talk assault mechs. They've got some cool options out there. I actually really enjoy Battlemasters. I feel like they've got a lot of cool variations and configurations. They're fast, at least comparatively for an assault mech. But they're fast. Ooh, how am I going to get in there? Well, that's not ideal. They're fast, they've got good range, they can be set up to have pretty decent firepower. They can also be set up to have, or configured to have really good armor. They're a lot lighter than the Atlas. They're only 85 tons, so you know you've got less weight to work with on a Battlemaster than you do on an Atlas. But a lot of times they've got the capability of, you know, having a boatload of just basic run-of-the-mill medium lasers, which can be a ton of fun. Even though they're not the most powerful weapons in the game by any means, they're easily replaceable, so if they get blown off your mech, you don't have to worry about them. You go pick up a 5-pack of medium lasers at the corner store for, you know, a nickel, and you still have enough change left over to buy yourself some gum. going on? I've been chatting away for the last couple minutes, muted. Hi, Mr. Swetch. Hi, Lemon Drop. Thank you very much for joining. How are you both doing? I was asking questions, and I was being all witty and charming and urbane, and that's never going to happen again, so... There it is, Homer. The most clever thing you'll ever say in your life, and nobody was around to hear it. Well, if anybody was wondering about the professionalism of my content, as you can see, it is quite amateur. Just a regular dude like everybody else. I guess that's a good point. I shouldn't necessarily be speaking for everybody. Lots of people out here are not regular. They're not ordinary. So I'm just trying to make sure that everything is kind of symmetrical here. And there's this one really weird spot between like the chin and the like hip or elbow or shoulder, whatever joint that would be on a mech. Hip, I guess. That's kind of weird. Like it's difficult to get the right angle on it. Sorrel's spider is chaos to the fly. I guess that's a good point. That's a very good point. Okay, let's see here. I kind of have to wait for some of that stuff to dry. Sorry, I don't know why my throat is so dry all of a sudden. So, really the key... I really wish this thing would focus better. The key thing that we're focused on right now is right here along the side of the nose. There are like these little like kind of wing things, like right there you go, that's it, right there, that guy right there. Yeah. So that guy I need to I need to finish kind of getting that painted in properly. I need the paint to dry a little bit before I apply any more, so I'm giving that a second. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to kind of assess what else needs to happen. I think, first and foremost, I need to get some more brown, because I need to go and I need to clean up a few little spots where the, you know, where my brush discipline was not necessarily the best. So I need to go in and kind of tidy up those little spots, kind of clean it up a bit, especially like around the knee joints and everything like that. So I need to do that. I need to obviously hit the cockpit in the blue that I like to use for the cockpit. And actually, I just thought of something that I want to do. I'm going to hit this nose right here. I'm going to hit that with green. Just the nose. Wait, is that part of the cut now? that's going to look good. I'm happy about that. Alright. I have to hit that green, that nose with a little bit more green. That's dry. But in the meantime, I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit up the... No, that's okay. I'm going to hit up the gray again. So what's everybody up to tonight? So, as I was saying, Lemon Drop and Mr. Swetch, I was asking you questions while I was muted earlier. Lemon Drop, is that show that you were working on still in progress, or is it already showing, or are you still in like the production stage? Because I know you were dealing with some fun little challenges related to that. And also, Mr. Swetch, it's April. Is this the month of the big shift for you, or is that am I crazy? Am I misremembering? I also fully accept the fact that it's possible for me to be both a little bit crazy and remembering it correctly. Oh, I learned something interesting today that it's one of those things that, like, as a kid, you watch a movie and you hear something and you're like, yeah, that's the line. It's not quite the Mandela effect, because I don't think everybody has the same memory. It's just, for whatever reason, in my brain, I heard it one way and I've just always assumed that was the way it actually is. And that was, in The Neverending Story, there's the scene where Atreyu stumbles across the wolf creature hiding in like the cave or whatever, waiting to ambush, whoever it is that he's hunting. And the wolf creature says, like, tells his name, and I always, tells Atreyu's name, and I always heard it as Morg. Like M-O-R-G or some variation of that. Today I found out it's Gamork. So there was a G in there, it was just at the very beginning. And, I don't know, for whatever reason that just struck me as very strange. I don't know how I went this long giving it the wrong name. The Nothing, yeah. Well, actually, so the wolf creature is not the Nothing. The wolf creature is Gamork, and he is a servant of the Nothing, but he is not the Nothing. And this is part of the rabbit hole I fell down. This is why captions are important. Yeah, exactly. But this is kind of the rabbit hole I fell down. Was when I discovered that, I kind of was like, oh, well, let me look into it a little bit more. And I guess in the book, there's like this whole thing about Gamork being basically a werewolf who can not like a traditional werewolf. But basically, he can travel between the world of not Fantasia, whatever the world is called in Neverending Story, like whatever the fantasy world is called. He can travel between that world and the real world. And in the fantasy world, apparently he's like this wolfman thing, but in the real world, he's just a person, like he's just a normal human. And he basically travels back and forth on behalf of the nothing, like kind of serving its whims and whatnot. And I did not know any of that until today. So who knew there was a whole expanded, never-ending story, like, canon going on? Certainly not me. That was news. Okay, I think I'm done with the gray. I'm done with the green. I am going to turn around and grab some brown, and I'm going to start cleaning this bad boy up. I should probably start hitting up the... I should probably start putting some gray on the Atlas and on the Centurion, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to start with one, just this one for now. Fantastica. That's right. Which is... It's a choice. It's a choice. I'll just say that. Not going to say it's a good choice or a bad choice, just I should not open that and then shake it. That is a bad idea. Shake then open. Those movies traumatized a generation. Yeah. Yep. They look like big, strong hands, don't they? I'm not crying, you're crying. Or Artax. Man, oh man, oh man. I haven't watched those movies in years. I still remember exactly what my emotional response was seeing Artax get swallowed up by the swamp. That is no bueno. Sequels were not as good. I think I agree with you. They got a little bit on the weird side, as I recall. Plus, if I'm honest, I kind of liked the idea of, like, Atreyu being sort of like the main, the main hero character, like the main, like, antagonist, I guess. Well, between Atreyu and Sebastian, like, Sebastian was, he was fine, I guess, but he just wasn't my first pick. He was the less interesting of the two, if you ask me. Childlike Empress was so creepy. Once named a turtle bard after Morla. I don't even know how you say it. Yeah, it still got rich. Yeah, exactly. Only really remember the weird lava part in the second one. Oh man, I don't even remember that part. I'm not as familiar with the second one. I think that's the one where they like the evil lady is like stealing the or she's taking people's memories and like locking them away in like little glass baubles or something like that. And so he's trading away memories in order to supposedly like help stop whatever bad thing. It was maybe it was the Nothing Again. I don't remember. Like I said, don't remember the sequels. They were a thing, but they weren't my thing. I guess they were okay, just not. It didn't draw me in. Childlike Empress was creepy. Yeah, I guess she was in a way. Pardonnez-moi while I get some new music going. So I do believe we've reached the end of that playlist. Hey, looking good. Alright, let's see. Do they have the Revival Outreach? Solaris 7. Let's do Solaris 7. I think that's the one we want to go with. Just mute for the ad real quick, and once that's over, we will get some tunes kicked off again. So, fun fact, in the Battletech universe, Solaris 7 is the name of a planet, or maybe it's so I guess Solaris is the system, Solaris 7 is the planet, but it's where the like kind of gladiator games, the arena basically is. So think like the MMA scene, but but with giant robots, battle mechs. Just a little Battletech lore thrown out there for those of you who aren't familiar. I really kind of imagine this music, you know, cut over a training montage. You know, the scrappy underdog arena pilot going through and getting back into shape and putting his mech back together and getting ready to take on one last fight in the vein of all the really cheesy boxing movies. At least that's what I'm seeing in my head when this plays. Ooh, there's a spot I need to clean up. Come here. that'll work. Sorry, getting a little bit quiet here while I focus on these little tiny cleanup details. So easy to go and be like, oh, I'm just gonna clean that up. Oh, well, I just I just made it worse. I know it's easy because I've done it several times. You know, this right here, perfect opportunity for me to use this really fancy magnifying light that I've got that I'm completely ignoring for some dumb reason. Gotta touch up the green a little bit now, but that's super easy comparatively. Wow, that looks way more obvious under the magnifying glass. It's actually not, it's not bad at all when you look at it in normal magnification, but under the magnifying glass it really looks like it's terrible. And skip. But that actually went pretty well, all things considered. Could have been a lot worse. What color you get? That's back there is supposed to be gray, so let's get back there and do that real quick. Sorry, I should probably be chatting more. I just... kind of just vibing, you know? Chilling. Try not to stress. Just enjoy the painting. Enjoy the music, you know? Don't want to keep tossing inane questions at people that don't necessarily need to be answered. If there is anything anybody wants to talk about, feel free. Toss it in the chat. I'll be happy to offer my insight. Or thoughts. Or just be here to bounce stuff off of. I mean, you know, sometimes things don't have a... Sometimes things don't have like a response that's necessary. Sometimes you just want to say stuff. You want to get stuff off your chest. So, that's cool too. Like the vibe, chilling, playing Slay the Spire. Nice, nice. Man, I haven't played that in forever. Should probably pick that back up. I wonder if anything about it has changed. Sorry, things are gonna get a little brighter for a moment. Oh man, that really highlights all the flaws. That's wonderful. Sorry, it probably sounded super sarcastic. It wasn't meant to. It's actually really, it's fantastic. Like, oh, there's a little splotch of green on that arm that's supposed to be brown. Well, I guess I'll go in and I'll just hit that with a tiny bit of brown while I'm here. That's easy enough. Better to see it now and have the opportunity to fix it. I can always decide not to if I want to. But seeing it now, at the very least. Whew. I've basically been painting with one arm handcuffed behind my back. I've got this, like, amazingly good light. Gone down a never-ending story rabbit hole. That's hilarious. Well, let me know if you find anything interesting. Either like weird interesting or like legit interesting. Sadly, I still don't know the best way to get the light so that you guys can actually see the detail on this guy. Like, I think that does a little bit where you can see some of the green, you can see some of the gray and everything like that. I'm actually, now I need a set of minuscule brushes. Yeah, exactly. And a set of minuscule hands. I put them underneath the light as if the light's the camera because I'm still minuscule hands. There you go. Bright as the sun. In the middle of the day, in the middle of the night. End of days, end of days. I think actually that's pretty good. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to do a bit of dry brushing specific to the various colors. So, for the green, we're going to use this sorry. We're going to use this fairly bright suddenly I'm getting no, not yet. Hold on. I'm feeling just a little bit gun shy about that. I feel like that's a little too neon. Maybe that's the color I should be using for the medium lasers. Yeah, I think so. All right, you've been reassigned. We're gonna use this guy. So I'm going to use some of this Feywild Emerald. I should be cleaning this palette, so I've got spaces I can actually do this with. Alright, so what we're going to do, basically, is we're going to get a little bit of water in the brush. Not a ton, just enough to moisten it up a bit. Then we're going to get a little bit of paint in the brush. Just drop some paint in there, okay. And then we're going to... super thrilled with how small the head of that brush is. So, hey, there we go. That's the one we're going to use. All right, come here. Yeah. So we want the brush to basically have like almost no paint in it. And we want it to be a slightly lighter green than the green that we primarily use as one of the primary colors. And basically what we want to do is we want to just do like little light brush strokes just to add a little bit of depth, a little bit of variation to it. Get a little bit more paint in there. I think I was a little bit too thorough in drawing some of the paint out. Of course, I got to be careful not to dry brush the gray or the brown bits with the green. So a little bit tricky, but not too bad. Oh, you know what? I just realized I'm missing a very crucial step here. I should hit it with a wash first. So let's do that. A slight process error there, like a order of operations error, but that's okay. Not the end of the world. Why? I've never had ads in this music before, so I don't know what's happening. Here we go. Okay, so let's grab a wash. I think I'm going to go with a black wash. So a fairly dark wash. Do I have... I was hoping I had another container, so I didn't have to use the... Oh well. It is what it is. Alright. Don't need a ton. Set that there. Wet the brush to make sure it's somewhat cooperative. And let's get in there. Usually I'm a little bit hesitant to like go too heavy on the wash, but in this particular case, these guys are supposed to look kind of grungy, so I'm just gonna convince myself to go for it. Music got a little weird there, a little frenetic. How did that happen? That's weird. I always end up having to turn the model over like several times to make sure I got everything. So I don't know why this happens. Like sometimes some of the paint washes off when I do the wash. Like I didn't realize it was supposed to be taken literally. Maybe I'm just being too rough with it. I don't know. Easy enough fix. It's just mildly not confusing, not concerning, just unexpected, I guess. Gotta figure out why it's doing that. Okay. Alright. I swear, one of these days I'll get to the point where I'm quick enough and I'm, like, consistent enough that I can get 2 mechs done in a stream instead of just 1. But I'm not too worried about it. Just battle damage, yeah, exactly. Like I can leave it as is, and it's not a problem. It's just strange. That's all. Okay. Whoop. Sorry, jostled everybody a bit there. Ah. Crashing, so I'm gonna go get some sleep. Great. Thanks very much, Lemon Drop. Definitely get some sleep. Sleep is good. I fully support sleep. Sleep well, have excellent dreams. Also, Kashra, isn't it about time for you to be getting to bed as well? I haven't seen anything from you saying you were going to, so. I'm wondering if Kashra fell asleep on the couch with the cats. I give it 4 to 1 odds. The Kashra is asleep upstairs with cats in her lap. Oh, you fell asleep in bed. Oh, wow. See, it's switching it up. But do you have cats? That's the question. With a cat. Yep, exactly. Okay. So I was mostly right. I know the deal. I know what's up. These cats, man. You get their little claws into you, and then they think they own you. And, I mean, let's be honest. They kind of do. They're just so cute. Ah, the dream. Do you not have a cat, Lemon Drop? Oh, so I thought you said you were going to sleep. I mean, not that I'm going to say, like, oh, you can't be here anymore, but I would also hate to be the reason you're not yet, but soon. I see, fair enough, hopefully. Not yet, but soon on the cat, is what I'm assuming, by the way. Or is that a not yet, but soon on the going to sleep thing? By the way, if anybody's wondering what I'm doing, I've got a fan on my desk that I'm putting my mech in front of so that the wash dries a little bit faster. Just kind of changing the angle so that all the little nooks and crannies get dried out. Cat, yes. Though you do need to get to sleep. Yeah, sleep is good. So I strongly encourage you sleeping. Although, if you decide you're going to stay up and stick around, obviously we're happy to have you. But, you know, health and sleep come first. Yeah, the Rona finally got me, so sleep is very important. Oh no! Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that. When did that happen? When was the last time we talked? I guess it has been a few days. So, I guess, you know, a lot can happen in that amount of time, but I am so sorry to hear that. Sleep is crucial then. Fever dreams definitely do not sound like fun. So I hope you don't get any. And if they do crop up, I hope they are not too bad. Green, that's going to be red. Okay, that's cool. So know what's got to happen there. All right, so looking good, looking good. A lot of good definition coming through in the details and such. Look good. Yeah, strong effort so far. Next thing I need to do is I need to go back and do the dry brush correctly this time. I don't want to use that, I don't think. I'm going to put that away. I'm going to grab that bad boy. That bad boy. Yep. Some of that. Okay. Went to see the D&D movie with my friend. She tested positive when she got home. Mass in the theater, but not with her and her boyfriend. Oh no. Oh, that's terrible. Not to be glib about it or anything, but you failed your con save. I'm so sorry. And yes, I hope you have a very speedy recovery. I'm glad it's not hitting you too badly. I know. Also had a cold last week. It's been oof. That's the worst. Is when you go right from like a cold into the flu or whatever the case may be. It's like can we not right now? I've been coughing for the last however long. I just want to be done with it for a while. I think I'm going to be the last person in our like D&D social circle to see the D&D movie. I'm so behind the times. Actually, maybe that's not true. Mr. Swedge, have you seen it yet? I know all the California nerds did. I only saw it together. The gall. So exclusionary. Leaving us out just because we're on the other side of the country. A travesty. Alright, so the next thing I want to do, so I did dry brush on the green. I want to dry brush on the, let's dry brush the brown. A little bit lighter. Actually signing off now. Good night. Good night, Lemon Drop. Sleep well. Recover swiftly. I hope you feel better soon. And I hope that you don't have any nasty dreams. I should move these guys. They're right in camera frame. It's prime real estate. Oop. Turn up the, pump up the jam a little. Jam. Let's see. Everybody's still just chilling. Totally cool. Totally cool. So, because I'm kind of like trying to, you know, emulate the Bob Ross kind of approach to the whole painting thing, at least from a philosophical standpoint, if not necessarily an actual talent or skill standpoint. I feel I should bring up that there is apparently a movie coming out called Paint with Owen Wilson, where he is playing like a very Bob Rossian style individual. So, I'm curious about that. I'm going to check that out. Stupid ads. Sorry. After having been relatively aggressive with the dry brushing on this one, I think we're going to move on to dry brushing the gray And then we're going to do kind of a white, kind of a light white dry brush over the whole thing to finish it off and give it that, like, lived in look. Is that right with this? Yeah, right there. I need to tie this. Okay. You're kaput. Time for sleeps. I love you too, Kashra. Please bring up the other faux fur blanket from the living room. I forgot it. All right, all right. I've been given an assignment. I can do that. Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate it. Trying my hardest to make it work. So really enjoying it. Thank you very much for joining in and chatting and sharing in the experience. I hope you sleep well and have good dreams. I will obviously come and see you soon, but you too. Yeah. Mwah. I love you. I shouldn't be too much later. This guy's about to be finished up, so. So he's definitely looking a lot more beat up. Alright, I think there's really just one step. Well, I take that back. I always want to say, like, oh, just one step left, but no, there's a couple steps. So first off, I need to do the kind of like white. It's not quite white. I use the color is gelatinous blue from this D&D paint set I got. It actually works really well for this kind of like final dry brush, like kind of effect that I'm going for to make it look even more kind of like scuffed and faded, all that stuff. So let's grab some of this. Get to the point where we need some new paint. I say that, but actually, I haven't gone through that much of it, all things considered. Okay, I'm going to be really careful with this, not to go too heavy, so. Says just before going hog wild. Alright, this guy is definitely a little bit more beat up than his catapult brother. That's okay. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. And honestly, considering the fact that catapults are meant to be missile support, generally speaking, it's probably best that they not be too badly beaten up. They should have friends to protect them. Alright, so we're going to leave that as is. Got a couple last minute things to do. Big thing that I want to take care of is I want to get the base painted. Normally I would use black, but I've got a lot of this excess gray, so I might use that instead, rather than pouring out some new black. I also got to get the lasers, and yeah, medium laser and the 2 medium pulse lasers and a small laser. So I need a little blip of green. That is a super bright green. I probably should have been using that for the lasers from the very beginning. Good night, Mr. Swetch. Thanks very much for tuning in, hanging out. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you. Sleep well. I will talk to you soon. What? That is such a crazy difference. And there's the risk with using the... There's the risk with using the magnifying thing, is if you're not paying enough attention to what you're doing, you can very easily have very much the opposite effect of what you're going for. Jury's still out on whether or not that's the best way to approach that, but I feel like it is. I feel like it generally works. Sorry. Sorry, folks. Realize I just shined that right into your faces via the one camera. My bad. Let that dry a little. Now let's grab some red. I think I want my crimson. Is that it? Cambium crimson? Yeah, that's the one. I need even less of this one because I just need to... Can I get away with... It's a thought, but it's not possible. Just not possible. All right, ended up with more paints sitting out than I was originally intending, but that's okay. Grab just a tiny bit of that, and then do a little. Right there, perfect. We'll let that dry. We'll grab some more music. Boots and pants and boots and pants and boots and pants. Exactly. Hi, Storytime Sarah. How are you tonight? Nice to see you. And yeah, this is really great channel on YouTube. It's Jason Sky, Skye is the last name. He does like synth playlists inspired by like different sci-fi properties like Mech Warrior and Cyberpunk. So, since we're doing some battle mechs from the Mech Warrior game, he's got music dedicated to the Mech Warrior game. Seemed like a match made in the near future. Right, you were talking about him last time. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to plug him a bit, make sure he gets credit, because I do like his music. I just wasn't brave enough to play his music directly into the stream last time. I think I just linked people to it. But this time I figured, what the heck. Let's give it a shot. It's the worst that can happen. He says, don't do that anymore. Okay, no problem. Really, I should just leave this thing open. Turquoise, is that what I'm using? Or is it? No, it's ghostly. Got a magnifier light? All pro. Yeah, my wife got it for me between last time I did a paint stream and this one. And I still haven't quite figured out how to like make most effective use of it. That's something that's going to take a little bit of time, I think. But yeah, I'm excited for it. All the dental techs have those in the dental lab. Yeah, exactly. That's up. But yeah, how are you tonight, Sarah? What have you been up to? Tonight is D&D as a goblin night, right? Thursday? Ah, Pathfinder is a sorcerer, some weeks VTM Malk others. I see, so it's an alternating one. Okay. This was Pathfinder. Gotcha. Alright, one more blorp of green for the medium lasers. Call that because I don't want to keep pushing my luck. There we go. Well, how was your Pathfinder game? Hope it went well. One of these days, I will get into a Pathfinder game. I will find that perfect congruence of availability, open seat, group that I want to play with. Glorious. It's fine. Goblin Pathfinder game is more fun. Better group. Ah, gotcha. What about this group kind of rankles you? Rankle might not be the right word. I don't know if it's as bad as that, but... Has opinion what you should do, and they'll talk over. Oh gosh, that is not fun. Dealing with a little bit of that in my revival the one we listened to before. Let's do this one. I'm running into a little bit of that with the Strahd game I play on Mondays. It's definitely a little bit frustrating. Ladies and gents, everyone else, I think our Night Star might be done. Let's see. And like, I'll ask the DM a question about something before he can answer this time. Well, you can just do this instead. And my question was, could I throw one creature at another creature with one of my spells? And I got told no. What spell was it? Granted, this is Pathfinder, not 5e, so I'm not gonna be able to adjudicate perfectly because I'm not familiar with the Pathfinder rules. But I'm just curious. It's cleaned up a little bit nicely. Okay, that's cleaned up not so nicely. That was the wrong color. Telekinetic projectile. So you can throw an object, not a creature. I asked if I could objectify it first. If that. Okay, well, I mean, if the spell explicitly says you can't throw a creature, I guess I can understand that. Probably would have ruled the same way. I think we might be done. That is way worse than I realized. I gotta hit that with Oh, the last part was a joke. Sorry, I missed that part. But yeah, I do get annoyed when people like seem to think you can't play your own character because you're asking a question, or feel the need to chime in and be like, "Well, what about?" It's like, just let me play the character that I built. I'll figure it out. At least that's my kind of response to it. So, yeah, exactly. So, and like, there are definitely cases where like someone's trying to be helpful, and like, oh, I legitimately did forget that thing, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, by and large, it's just like, I got this. Plus, for me, that kind of stuff really has to come from like a friend. If some random person that I don't really like hang out with much outside of game starts chiming in and like telling me like this is what I should do on my turn, that drives me crazy. Should I be coloring the barrels of my PPCs blue? So I've been hitting the medium lasers with green, the small lasers with red, large lasers with blue. But I see a lot of people do PPCs blue as well. But I just feel like that's, I don't know. No, I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm going to leave it as is. All right. Well, let's get the base on this bad boy done, and then we are finished with this. Our Night Star here. That is a terrible angle. Let's tilt it down just a touch. Ah, sorry. Wobbly camera. It's not great lighting. I will say that. If I do this, is that any better? And marginally. So We've got another green, brown, dark gray color scheme here, fitting in with our unit of similarly gray, brown, and green. Oh yeah, all these guys back here are painted. There's a couple that there's a couple that are not shown here. They're on a table in the other room. But yeah, these are all painted. So obviously, plus these guys. And I've got a Centurion and I've got an Atlas that are hanging out, ready to be next in this particular attire. So once I do these guys in the green, gray, brown, I will be done with that unit. That'll be 2 lances of that color scheme. From there, I'm going to move on to... Pardon me. I've got an elite lance that I need to do. That's going to be 4 mechs. And then, or no, I think I bumped that up to 8 total, now that I think about it. And then I've got another lance in kind of a yellow, a light yellow, light green, light gray, so it stands out nicely from this guy. So, a couple lances still to go, but I'm getting there. And then I've got all my clan mechs. I've barely touched my clan mechs. I've only got 5 of those painted, and I think I've got 25 more. Yeah, I had enough for 6 stars, and a star is 5. So yeah. So yeah, working on it, getting there, slowly but surely. I was saying earlier tonight, eventually I'll get to the point where I can finish 2 mechs in a stream rather than just 1. But, I mean, you know, it is what it is. So. Alright, let's get, I'm going to make use of a little bit more of this gray that I mixed up. I'm gonna base this guy in gray, which is going to be a little bit different from the rest. The rest are all in black, but I don't want to waste the paint, so. Yeah, I've really been enjoying painting. I'm kind of surprised. I resisted for so long. Like I didn't have any real interest in it. And lo and behold, I actually find it to be kind of relaxing and kind of fun. A large part of that is because I'm doing it on stream. If I was just doing this for myself, like purely for myself, if that's how I'd started, I would not be having nearly as much fun with it because I'd be way too harsh about it. Doing it on stream, nice and chill, nice and relaxed, no stress, no reason to get upset. Try to set a good example, you know, all that stuff. Okay. We're going to we're gonna pop him over there in front of the fan so that the base dries, and then we can start working with him a little bit more safely without getting paint everywhere. And then after that, that's it. I just have to take him into the other room, hit him with the spray varnish. So like I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, I want to be careful with the spray varnish because you might notice, like, so this is my rifleman, you know, same color scheme, more or less the same process, not quite as good as the one I just did. And then here is my catapult. You might notice that the rifleman is a little bit shinier up through here. And the color on him actually turned out pretty good, but it's a little bit darker than intended on the brown. Whereas here on the catapult, you can see the colors are, the variation is showing through a bit better, and it's not as glossy, it's not as shiny. So on the rifleman, this is one of my early ones, I held the spray can of the varnish too close, and I sprayed it on too heavily. So that's what resulted in the heavy gloss. With this guy, the catapult, I was a little bit further away when I sprayed him down, and I was a little bit lighter about it. So as a result, it's not as glossy, it's a little bit more matte. And that's what I'm going for with the Night Star and the other two mechs that I'm working on next. So fingers crossed that pans out, because I will be mildly bummed if I mess it up in the 11th hour. It won't be the end of the world or anything. It won't fit in with the rest of the guys, but you know, I have an image of my head in my head of what I want it to look like, so I'd really like for it to turn out looking like that, if possible. I could just hit him with the Mod Podge to get the matte effect, but I think that would be too matte compared to the catapult. So I'm kind of aiming for something in between this guy, the Thunderbolt, which is really matte, and then this guy, the Rifleman, which is more gloss. So I'm aiming for something in between there, which gives us the catapult. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the night. Managed to get one done, which is always good. Probably didn't need to take me as long as it did, but here we are. Well, we can give Mr. Magnifying Light a little bit of a break, so that's cool. Really do like that thing. I'm looking forward to using it for like some of the detail work as I get a little bit more adept, proficient, experienced. So yeah, I need a small container to put my paints in, like a little low container, because I had them all lined up neatly in the drawer that I set up next to me, but every time I open it they shift, and so now they've all like shifted to the middle of the drawer and they're all a mess. So I'm gonna need to do something about that, but that's for another time. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Always fun to chat with folks. I guess I can take these off now. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that was uncomfortable. But yeah, I really do appreciate people tuning in and chatting and everything like that. You know, here pretty much every Thursday doing either Battletech painting or doing the RPG, which I think kicks off officially next week. Fingers crossed. I really hope so. But yeah, I'm Ben Ravensdale, and I've been the amateur painter for the last couple of hours. I will be here again on this channel next Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Pacific Time, doing a Dragon Age RPG, and then at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, doing a Curse of Strahd stream as well. And then next Tuesday, you can see me doing more painting and hanging out with my buddy Samson over on my channel, Ravensdale Publishing, also on Twitch. So, thanks again for tuning in. I hope everybody has a great night. Get some sleep, rest well, and have a great weekend, everybody. Sarah, thanks very much for popping in. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. So, all right. Bye, everybody.